Hello guys, how you doing? What's going on? I am so ecstatic today. Today has been a very great day for me. Went to the gym, then I came back to do this podcast. I've really been thinking about a lot of ideas and this is right. This is right on why I even started Sweet Melodies um this episode right here. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have heard about Beyonce releasing part two, act two. Let me not say part two, act two to the Renaissance. And she has released some country songs. Her most popular one, Texas Hold'em, which is number one right now. And I think a lot of people um are are having a wrong take from this. First I just want to say big congratulations. I don't know Beyonce in person, but big congratulations. Like she is really an inspiration to me and she is really shaping the music industry. But I think that what people aren't taking away from her releasing Act Two, because the Renaissance is, just based on her childhood and what inspired her, um, what made her want to be an artist. She's from Houston, Texas, okay? And country music is really, really, really big in Texas. I'm not from Texas, but every person that I've met that is from Texas love them some country music. Um, all they do is listen to country music. Doesn't matter what their skin color is, they love country music. But Beyonce releasing country music has definitely awakened some things. Definitely has revealed some things that there is still a lot of racism. Racism is not over. Um we are still fighting a lot of controversial ideas every single day. A lot of touchy subjects, a lot of touchy situations that people don't want to talk about. They don't want to be a they don't even want to be a part of the discussion. So the fact that she basically stepped over this and she stepped into this realm, um which has people disturbed. I don't know why they're disturbed. But they're disturbed just because they're hateful, They're disturbed because they are racist. Um so I am very, very, very I'm excited to discuss this with you guys. And I'm very, very happy that she did this. Most people are like, okay, well, Beyonce, she can do any genre. She can do anything and she can just make it pop. And yeah, that is true, but that's not the whole main takeaway from this. At least I don't think that's why she necessarily. I think yeah, she did it cuz she wants to show, yeah, I can do whatever. But I think that also is mainly the biggest takeaway from this is that it has revealed a lot of things for people um that just don't want to accept that country music is something that really derived from black culture. And for a group of people to say that she's not really producing real country music, um because she's black, when black is what started country music, is just crazy to me. Um, I'm about to get into it with you guys. And no, I'm not saying that uh I'm not saying that as to be facetious. I'm saying that because I think that as we are Americans today and just in the world in general, because racism is not only in America, it's everywhere. Saying that because this is really fighting systemic ideas. Okay. Um, we shouldn't just be placed in a box. Now there are many other Black country artists out there. Um, we're gonna get into them too. You know, there are many other Black country artists that have been doing this. They have never had a number one country song on the Billboard. And for her to have that and it's not even playing on the radio. I mean, come on, guys, that's really big. Um, Texas Hold'em, which also enters the all genre Hot 100s this week. Okay, it is number one. It is the lead off single to a forthcoming Beyonce album. So let's start from the beginning, all right? Let's start from the beginning. Yes. We're going to start from the very beginning, okay? We're going to start from the very, 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 very beginning. So, like I said, the banjo is, after all, an instrument with African origins, cousins to the current West African instrument, the akonting. And I hope I pronounced that right. Black people are said to have brought their banjos and the knowledge of how to make them with them during the Middle Passage. The first string band performers were enslaved people brought on slave ship. And this music was appropriated to form blackface minstrelsy, the United States' first successful commercial music. Do I have to show a commercial with white man with black all over their face holding a banjo, dancing around in a suit? Them old black and whites. Do I have to put that up on the screen for y'all to see? I hope not. A major country music guitar and banjo picking style originated in the Piedmont region's blues, exemplified by virtuoso Black women musicians such as Elizabeth Cotton and Etta Baker. Some of the erasure of this history of origins can be explained by the ways that from the 1920s on in the record industry, recorded music was segregated into hillbilly records, which was eventually called country or western or just country music, and was marketed specifically to white audiences, while race music, including blues, was marketed as black music. But both performers and fans crossed these racial lines despite the rules and despite the idea that this segregation was natural and grounded in the body. In this way, country music, like other American musical genres, have reflected the informal but sometimes deadly laws of Jim Crow. The segregation of country music continues today, upheld by many of the ways that country music is sold, marketed, distributed, and written about, with very few exceptions. There was one exception, though, and that was Linda Martell. She was a Black country music artist who was the first Black woman to perform on the Grand Opry stage. And woo, getting into her story is deep. Okay? Getting into her story is very deep. You want to know why? Do you want to know why? Because the label that she was signed to was called Plantation Records. Just imagine what that poor woman was going through. And then when she didn't even want to agree with what these people said, they basically blackballed her, took her out to where she started driving a school bus and teaching special needs, which is amazing. Honestly, God works in mysterious ways. I think teachers, special needs teachers, bus drivers, those are all essential to our community. But what I'm saying is that she had a passion for music. She was there. She was the first Black woman to perform at the Grand Ole Prix. And they took that away from her. And then her record label was called Plantation Records. Oh my goodness. So, getting more into it. 3 songs from her 1969 album, Color Me Country, were hits on Billboard country charts, including Color Him Father, Bad Case of the Blues, and Before the Last Teardrop Falls. Yet soon after its release and a limited run of public appearances, her album label, Plantation, I see, look, my spirit don't even want to say it, Plantation Records, released her from her contract. Martell has since shared stories of racist insults and threats of violence by country music audiences and by television executives, and an almost daily wearing down of her spirit. Color Me Country was her only country music album, though she continued to make music professionally and semi-professionally. All right. So next we have Tina Turner. Now y'all know that Tina Turner, okay, whose hits Nutbush City Limits chronicled her upbringing in the small town of Nutbush, Tennessee, chose to make her first solo album a country album. So when she went solo, her first album was country. Tina Turner Turns the Country On. In 1974, this album, made up of covers by country songs by Chris Christopherson and Dolly Parton, was nominated for a Grammy the following year, but until recently, the album was little known except by a small circle of fans and is still out of print. So you can't even really find Tina Turner's country music album. Like, you can barely find that. Other Black women artists in soul and R&B who have recorded country music include Millie Jackson, Anita Pointer, and the Pointer Sisters. Okay. And they actually performed on the Grand Ole Prix stage with their country hit. It was called Fairy Tale. And they got a mixed audience response. So some people was feeling it, some people was not. Okay. 1987. Okay, so we going up the timeline. Donna Mason charted a country hit with her cover of Green Eyes. It was originally sung with Danny Davis. She was the last Black woman to appear on Billboard's country music charts before Rissy Palmer broke her record with her 2007 song Country Girl. So this has been going on like so long. With me, I'm gonna pause on that real quick, because what I cannot seem to understand, what's not functioning in my brain, is why do people steady try to rip Black people from their roots, from their culture, from who they are? You know what I mean? It's like full circle. You know, when it comes to doing other culture appropriate situations from another culture that has nothing to do with ours, it is celebrated. It is celebrated. We are applauded. You know what I mean? But when it comes to us striving to really touch our roots and to really feel whole and learning about us and really touching the basis of what our ancestors, what they stepped on, what they walked on, it is like people just go freaking crazy. Like, what is that about? How come us learning about our history, touching our roots, folklore, storytelling, that's all we had? And that's some knowledge that we brought over us consciously, cuz we made the banjo by scratch. Playing, I know that our ancestors played songs, songs, song, picking cotton, being a slave. These people have an issue with us wanting to learn more about ourselves. When it comes to us learning about our history and embracing who we are, it doesn't matter the decade, it doesn't matter the time. The point is that we're doing it now. Because we have been stripped of so much information. Things that have been DNA encoded in us, and it's been scrambled. It's been taken away. Why is it an issue? Why is it an issue? Like, that is just ridiculous. So let's get back to Rizzy Palmer, the one that released Country Girl in 2007. Okay. After the initial promise of Country Girl, Palmer decided to leave her label and had to fight in the courts to be released from her contract. But that experience taught her the value of her own contributions to the genre as an independent artist. Working independently gives her the place to tell the kinds of musical stories that reflect a full spectrum of Black women experiences. As Palmer tells the 19th News, Jennifer Gerson, I think some of the best storytellers and authors and thinkers and poets are Black women. And we are as entitled to have our stories told as anyone else. And country music is a place where Black women can tell their stories. Along with her own songs, as host of the Apple Music radio show that she created, Color Me Country, named after Martell's album. That was beautiful. Palmer brings to the airwaves old and new Black, Latinas, and indigenous country music artists that far too long have been kept out of the spotlight. As the show opening puts it, Palmer has created the Color Me Country Fund for emerging BIPOC artists. Color Me Country Radio has become a place for Black, brown, and indigenous musicians, journalists, critics, and producers to discuss the struggles of the country music industry. That is beautiful. How Rizzy Palmer picked, how she literally picked up Linda Martell. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Because if it wasn't for Linda Martell, that is beautiful. Okay. So you guys check out Color Me Country. I love it. I just love it all together. I love it, love it, love it. So I do want to get into a little bit more into Linda Martell and her story, okay? So Linda Martell was born and raised in South Carolina. Martell listened to country, gospel, and R&B music. In her teens, she formed a singing trio with her family titled Linda Martell and the Anglos. During the 1960s, the group recorded a handful of R&B singles and sang alongside other black performers. However, the group had little success and soon parted ways. Performing as a solo act, Martell was discovered singing country music on an Air Force base. This led an introduction to producer Shelby Singleton, who signed her to his Nashville label in 1969. The same year, the label released her country cover of Color Him Father. The song became a charting single on the Billboard charts, and her debut album followed in 1970. Martell made several appearances on country music television programs and released 2 more singles with Plantation. She also made her first appearance on the Grand Ole Prix during this time. She later performed there 12 times, following a series of business conflicts with her manager, Duke Raymore, and producer. So the thing is, with Plantation, because it's a lot more tea here. With Plantation, what they did was after they got Martell in the door, they started basically putting her to the side. I guess because she was sharing some of her concerns about the record label's name. Obviously, I can't get into too much details because I don't know too much. But when I do find out more, because y'all know I will go digging. When I find out more, I will put more on my podcast. But if you look up Plantation Records, they say they are best known for Jeannie C. Riley's 1968 hit Harper Valley PTA. So there was definitely some conflict with her, with Riley, and Martell. Started getting competitive. People started offering Linda Martell more opportunities and things that made more sense. She wanted to leave the record label, but they had her under a contract, obviously. She didn't really like the name and she didn't like how she was being treated. She had to endure some really, really, really like big amounts of racial abuse. And with them dealing with Riley, that's who they mainly wanted to focus on. And they wouldn't allow Linda to leave. And then they blackballed her. They forced her out. This story is very critical to me, especially with Beyonce coming through 2020, because even in 2007, there were still issues. All right? There were still issues. I know like K Michelle tried to go into country too. I didn't do too much research on her situation, but maybe I'll touch that topic, you know what I mean, in the future. But I know that, she didn't have very much success with it. And we're not going to sit here and blame her fans or blame her past of reality TV. But there obviously is an issue in this. Why are these people wanting it to be such a strong disconnect from our history, our roots, and what we do? So, this is Darius Rucker, and he is speaking on some racism on Today All Day. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to listen to his we're going to go ahead and we're going to listen and see what he has to say. I'm going to share my opinions of this as well. So let's get to that. Also, if you guys didn't know, before we keep it moving, I do have my own YouTube channel I just started for this podcast. It is called Sweet Melodies. You can find it on the website. The website is on lindseyanastasia.com under Sweet Melodies. So y'all make sure y'all tap in, subscribe to the channel, share it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get into this.
Absolutely. Long time. It has been a minute. I'm a little healthier these days than the last time I saw you, yeah.
Tell me what's happening in Nashville at Nissan Stadium this weekend.
It's a great thing that's been started. They're calling it the drive-in concerts. And instead of, coming into a concert where everybody's just piled on top of each other, they got it. We have a great stage in this thing, and then every car has a spot you park your car, and right next to that spot is a spot that you and your friends can get out and watch the show and have some beers and have a good time and dance. So I think it's gonna be great.
So it's like tailgating built in?
Exactly, tailgating for the show, and then everybody's distanced properly and everything. So I'm looking forward to it. I haven't done anything like that. It's gonna be fun.
How hungry are you to get back on stage?
Oh, I think I've taken for granted over the years that I play music for a living, just I've been doing it for so long. And you always see a show on the calendar. You always know when you're going to play. And not knowing when I was going to play really made me realize how much I love it. I love playing live music for people, and I'm missing it so bad. This is my year off, and I was still playing 40 shows, so it's like crazy, and I'm looking at it. I miss it a lot.
So when you have time off like this, and you can't play, and you get ready to play again,
yeah,
you're 48, you're hours away from taking that stage again.
Yeah.
Do you have a little bit of butterflies?
Oh, absolutely. Especially now that I haven't played, because I'm old now. I might forget the words to the songs. I mean, it's going to be, and you're nervous because it's also a totally different animal. It's different than what you usually do with the drive-in thing. So you don't know what to expect with the crowd, and you haven't played. So yeah, I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm trying to change the set list and everything. It's going to be. I can't stop thinking about it actually.
What has the response been to once it was announced that these concerts were going to take place, these sort of drive-in concerts? What's the response been like?
Huge. I mean, ticket sales were crazy because people just want live music. People want to hear live music. They don't, they don't really care how they get to see it. They just want to see it. And so the response has been great. People, just with the social distancing and everything and actually getting to see live music, I think people are excited.
I think it's an answer to a big question.
I think so, too.
And St. Jude is a beneficiary of this as well?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot with St. Jude's over the years, and it's just, when you're going to do something like this and you're doing it on this scale, it's nice to help people too. And so when, St. Jude is always important to country music, so yeah, for sure.
Gotcha. I heard your new song.
Yeah. It's fun.
It's about BS.
Yeah. I wrote that one, we wrote that song during when the quarantine was in the middle, and it was one of those things where no one was going anywhere, and on the TV, all the stuff, this was, one station saying this, one station saying that, and all the BS that was going on, and it was funny because when we were writing that, we asked ourselves, can we say BS? But the only BS I need is beer and sunshine. That worked for me.
I have a feeling it could become the anthem of the summer.
The funny thing is when we wrote it, I laughed and I thought, this is what everybody's thinking, it could be. I hope it is. That's why we're trying to get it out there. I hope it becomes an anthem for people who are stuck in their house.
When you sing a song like that, that's so celebratory, right? What's going on inside you?
Oh, happiness, fun. Even when we were recording it, because we recorded this song so differently. This is the first song I think I've ever recorded in my life where nobody was in the studio. I didn't see any guy. We did a basic guitar track. I did my vocal, then my producer just did everybody on computer. Everybody that's playing is playing via Zoom or Skype or something.
Really?
Yeah, no one was in the studio together at all. It was he called the drummer who put it down in his house over Skype, and then the bass player put it down. It was all done just over computer.
How crazy is that?
Crazy, because I'm old school, man. I'm that guy who wants to go sit in the studio for 12 hours a day knocking this stuff out, and to do it that way, I'm kind of scared because I don't want it to go to that. I want it to stay the way it is.
You want to go back to that?
I want to go back to the old way for sure.
Seems like it turned out all right.
It turned out all right. I'm really happy with the song.
Yeah. I read words that you wrote with regard to the times that we live in.
Yeah.
What has happened to you internally since George Floyd's death that made you say, I need to refocus?
The thing after George Floyd died that really made me go, I gotta change something is my kids. Watching them go through this. Wow. Watching my kids go through this. And watching, my daughter sit back and realize, I got a bunch of racist friends. Watching that made me really sit there and go, I just can't keep living my life like everything's okay, because everything's not okay. As cool as you think they are, and they're not your friend. They're not the friends you thought they were. And that's hard. I mean, when I say this, it's shocking. But, you realize that if you were to stop being friends with everybody you sure called somebody the N-word in anger, you lose half your friends. That's a really tough wheel of life.
You are in such an interesting business.
Yes.
Because you're the only one. And it's a business that's very sensitive to image. And it's a business that's very, very sensitive to how you carry yourself.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. This business, one word, it's been proven. One sentence could end your career in country music. Proven. Look at the Dixie Chicks, biggest thing in the business. They say one sentence, every station in the business stops playing their music. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. It wasn't about their politics, it was about their music. And all of a sudden you say one thing political that the people won't agree with, they stop playing your music. That's crazy to me. But that's the business we live in.
Here you are, and for the first time in your life, you're saying Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Is there danger in that for you?
Sure, I'm sure there is. I'm sure I've already lost fans. You see what's happening with Lady Antebellum and all. It's you're losing fans. Lady Antebellum did something they thought was right. I go on and read their comments, and you're like, wow, this is shocking that people could say stuff like this
because they took the Antebellum out of their name.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where you say Black Lives Matter and people, all lives matter. Yeah. The thing to get me, Jay Farrell did a thing the other day that just was so true. It was so true. He's like, I always say this Black Lives Matter. What's wrong with matter? We're not saying better. We're saying matter. And that's a big problem. And, but we're at that point in our history, in our lives, where you got to say something. You can't just stay on the sidelines anymore.
All right, guys. So, with everything that you just heard, that was a 2020 interview that was done right after the oh my goodness, I'm sorry, excuse me, but that was after the whole situation with Floyd. The whole situation is really heartbreaking. Just to hear Darius Rucker speak like that. If you didn't know who Darius Rucker is, he does do country music. He's very, very popular. He's a country superstar. So I thought it would be interesting to share that interview because he was also speaking on his career. He was speaking on, his kids, and he was just speaking on the controversy of everything. So I thought that would be very important to share with you guys. Well, one thing I noticed the interviewer was saying was he was like in this industry, like you're one of the only ones that's like really popular, and if you say one thing or one sentence, then you're basically your whole career will be over. And I just thought that was just insane. Hearing him say that, because it's true. But so the interviewer was honest, but at the same time, um, like Darius wasn't combative. I just through his teeth with the way he said things and certain things that was said. It's just kind of disgusting. He was like, these things have to be talked about right now. And it hasn't been talking about, like image matters, and this, that, and the fourth. There has been a big giant pool that has separated Black people from their roots. And it's like they expect us to believe that it was never a part of our roots, never a part of our history. It's just crazy to me. It is just crazy to me. So, given a little bit more history, I'm going to show some images here. These are the first 2 Black radio stations that were in Houston, Texas. So you guys can see it up here on the screen. Very, very vivid. Very, very vivid. And here's just showing some of their images and stuff like that. So I just thought that was interesting.
Tasha did have the #1 rating show, but in 1963, after they moved to the Looking Glass studio, it was all Kristen King B. Smith. She was the first Black female disc jockey. She was at KYOK. See, when KYOK came down here in 1954, they bought their own disc jockey, and they also had their own name. And Dizzy Lizzy was her name. KYOK parodied all of those names. Those DJs could not use that name unless they was working at KYOK. And those names that was patterned at KYOK, such as Dizzy Lizzy, Zing Zang, and Hachi Tachi, they could not use those names. Those names was Star Broadcasting Company, which came down here in 1954. And they bought their own disc jockeys here. And it was a 24-hour. When KCOH Radio moved at 1430 Alameda, they bowed along with them, which used to be downtown in the M&M building. When Mr. Meekum bought the station, and with the Looking Glass studio, they had Perry Kane, better known as Daddy Pizza. Now,
so I'm not gonna play that whole thing. I just thought it would be cool to share some of that image with you guys, just to place you vividly there. But this is also MSNBC, and they're going to be like speaking on the controversy surrounding Beyonce's new song and the racism.
You're welcome, folks. That is going to be stuck in your head all night, and as I said, you are welcome. That was Beyonce's Texas Hold'em, one of 2 songs she's on March 29th. But not everyone is thrilled about the icon's foray into the genre. In fact, one Oklahoma-based radio station sparked outrage this week for initially refusing to play Beyonce's new single. A fan who requested the song received an email reply that read, quote, "Hi, we do not play Beyonce on KYKC as we are a country music station." Well, the station's owner later told NBC News that it was unaware Beyonce had released country songs when the request was made, but let's take a step back here for a moment. According to Forbes, as of Tuesday, only 8 of the 150 stations that report to Billboard's country airplay chart reported having played Texas Hold'em in its first day, and none said they had put her other single, 16 Carriages, on the air. And this is not the first time the country music industry has been at odds with Beyonce. She faced an intense backlash in 2016 for daring to perform at the CMAs alongside the Chicks. Let's be very clear here. This is just the very latest flashpoint of the long and ugly history of racism within the country music establishment. You're probably familiar with some recent episodes, like when rapper Lil Nas X saw his viral hit Old Town Road removed from Billboard's Hot Country Songs on the grounds that it, quote, did not embrace enough elements of today's country music. And there have been even more foul and even more outrageous controversies after it was reported in 2021 that country superstar Morgan Wallen was caught yelling the N-word on camera. He immediately saw a 1,200% increase in digital album sales. And just last year, Jason Aldean filmed a music video for his infamous grievance anthem decrying Black Lives Matter outside a Tennessee courthouse where a black man was attacked by a mob and lynched in 1927. For years, for decades really, white country music fans have sent a clear message. Black artists do not belong in this genre, which is racist, obviously, but also ironic given how musicologists speculate that the precursor to the banjo, the cornerstone of country music, originated in Africa and arrived on American shores during the 17th century with enslaved people taken from West and Central Africa. According to Alice Randall, professor of African American Studies at Vanderbilt University, Black country music goes back to the arrival of the first Black child to an enslaved African woman in the Americas. Black people have always been a part of folk and country music. Ray Charles, Tracy Chapman, Charlie Pride, Darius Rucker. And to the conservatives who claim that Beyonce is stealing your genre, you're making her point for her. This new album, Act 2, is the second installment of a 3-volume project that is literally about reclaiming Black roots in musical genres that have been co-opted and whitewashed. So do yourself a favor. Go listen to Texas Hold'em. It's good country music, and to anyone who says otherwise, well, bless your heart.
So there you have it, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. I'm going to get it definitely deeper into some more things with you guys. I appreciate you all. For those of you that are still rocking with me in the podcast, I think that that this is very, very, very remarkable how a woman such as Beyonce knows that has literally crossed, she crossed a border. I'm not gonna call it a boundary. That was imaginary. So imaginary that we all could not see it. We all could not see it as clearly. That has caused a lot of conversation that a lot of people are afraid to really dive deep into. I haven't seen much conversation about it. It's been all very bland to me, but I think it's really remarkable. I think it's amazing. And I think that honestly, like, we're still not hitting it. I feel like there's going to be a lot more awakening in all of this. There's no conspiracy to this at all. this is the truth, and it's rare. It's very rare that we can actually come to an agreement, and we can actually come to recognize and actually see what's really going on just so clearly. So that's what I have for you guys today. Have a blessed day, guys. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel. And continue to be brilliant.